Hello, I'm Penny, this is Penelope's Pitstop, and in this issue we're going to be doing issue 25, Assemble the Right Shoulder. So welcome to issue 25. As always, let's begin with the parts list. So we have part 1, the right shoulder spring, part 2, the right elbow pin, part 23, the right shoulder accessories. These are on a small sprue, and then on a larger sprue we have 25-4 right shoulder accessories, and then we have two lots of screws. We have PM 3x8mm screws, and we have PM 3x6mm screws. So let's begin with step 1. Cut the two larger shoulder accessories circled from the plastic frame 25-4. Smooth any rough edges with a fine file or sandpaper. After cutting from the frame, check how the parts fit together. So I had an emery board, which I don't seem to have. I might have just cleared it all up, but I personally use emery boards when I file, unless it's a really big job. I just find these are cheap and cheerful. So let's have a look at the sprue. So looking at the orientation of the sprue, this is the way the magazine has got it, and we want these two pieces. So I'll cut one at a time. So we'll look at the joins. We'll do the easy one first, which is this one and here, and then the second piece is this one here, and that goes across there and there. So for future reference, I will leave this in this position, so when we come back to it, hopefully we'll know where it is. So these are going to go together like this, and we look at any bits that just look a little bit off, and I think I should be taking a little bit off this piece, so I will just give that a little file there. The trouble is, this is coated plastic, so we need to be careful where we file, because if we take this chrome finish off, it's going to look odd. So note where the face is that we will see, and just try and get the edge off like so. So let's check that fit. That will go in there like so, and that's a lot better just by taking a little tiny bit off. A little bit of a hole there, but that's more the fit than anything. So look at where the that's fine. So look at where it's actually going to make contact, and then, as step 2 says, apply a little super glue to the raised spine on the smaller part. So it's going to want us to apply glue there. So I think in this particular instance I'll use my glue with a brush, and I'll just don't want too much. You can always put more on, but you can't take it away as easily. So because this is an inside piece, you don't have to be neat and tidy, but don't try and get the glue, or try not to get the glue on the outside of the part. So that will go in like so, and this is where we find out if I've glued it in properly. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we'll apply. I had a cocktail stick. I don't have a cocktail stick now. Right. So that's not set yet. I can. That's actually stuck down now. Yeah, that's stuck down. I maybe just needed to give it, say, 20 seconds, but that's stuck down in place, no problems. So on to step 3. Fix the parts together as shown to make the shoulder accessory A. Identify the seam and the foot of this shoulder accessory. So this is the seam, and this part is the foot, And let's have a look at step 4. Cut the remaining parts from the first frame and arrange them in the order shown. We have assigned a letter to each of them for reference. It is always good practice to test fit parts if possible before applying glue. So what we will do is I will cut these off in what I believe is alphabetical order. So this is A, so B looks like, that looks like D. I'm going to cut, let's cut off the ones that we know, and then that will, by process of elimination, we will figure out what the remaining parts are. So this is D, B, B, C, D. So a little round one is E. So we know that these are A and B, and this one with the wings on both sides is C. So by process of elimination, this remaining one is B. So for the next few stages, sorry, I just can't figure out where that goes. So I can see it now. So this is B, and I'll try to keep them. I just want to just cut this little bit off, a little sticky out bit. Right, so for the next few stages, I'll try and keep these in the orientation that the mag has them. And what I will do is the picture from stage 4 I'm now going to place in the top corner, and I will keep those on for all the way to stage 9. So step 5, take the shoulder joint assembly from stage 23 containing part 22-1 and position it in the orientation shown. Apply a little super glue to the foot of the accessory A and fit it into the top socket of part 22-1. Viewed from this angle, the seam of part A is facing away from you. So I'm not going to glue it, and the reason I'm not going to glue it is because I know there's a plate going over the top. I will try and put the plate on. I think that will hold things in place. If it doesn't hold it in place, then I will take things apart, go back, and I will glue it in. But let's try not to glue it. So the orientation shown is we have the 2 screw holes there just to the right, and then we have these 2 screws should be up and down like so. So this is part A, the seam away from us. So I need to work down here because of the picture in the corner. So this is the orientation I've got this in. And let's just turn that light off. We will work in the dark a little bit, but the detail will be easier to see. So this is the part we've just glued. You see the seam there? So we need to turn it away from us and place that into there. So step 6. Apply a little super glue to the foot of part B and fix it into the corresponding socket in part 21 as shown. So this is B, and this one is going there. So just for fun, we can see that it doesn't actually go anywhere else, and we can't fit it the wrong way round. So there's only one way for it to go, and that's there. And I suspect the same will be true for everything else. So let's have a look at step 7. Apply a little super glue to the foot of part C and fix it into the socket on the right hand side of part 22-1. So this is C because we've placed them in the order. Now I'm going to place this first of all the wrong way round. That doesn't want to go in. It will go there, but it's not a very good fit. And it's not going to go there. So right, you can feel that this wants to go there, so that is, plus it's logical that we're working around the clock, so that is where it's going to go. So step 8, apply a little super glue to the foot of part D and fix it into the socket at the bottom of 22.1. So this is part D, and again it won't go in the wrong way and it won't fit into the wrong hole, so that's the only place for that to go, and that I'm really happy with that. If you can see that little mark there, that's where it was attached to the sprue, so that has left a bit of an ugly mark, but as you can see it's actually going to be inside this piece, so it won't be finished, won't be showing on the finished result, and that's what I like to see with sprues. All of the marks where it was attached to the sprue, I like those marks to be in places where it doesn't matter, so that I am very happy with. So let's have a look at stage 9. Again, check the orientation of part 23.1. Inside part 22.1, check the screws are aligned as shown and circled in blue. Apply a little super glue to the foot of part E and fix it into the socket on the left hand side of part 22.1. So the orientation is these screws are running from 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock, are running straight down the parts. I now am not in a position to have a look, actually I can be. Let's hold this. I don't believe it matters which way round this go, however I know that it can be turned around. So let's place this in. Let's just go with what they say for now. And this piece, it looks absolutely symmetrical, so I don't think it matters which way round it goes, but let's try all 4 different positions. That's a little bit loose, that's in nice and snug, and that's a little bit loose. So I'm suggesting perhaps that there is a correct way, but 2 of the 4 sides are correct, but that's quite snug, so I'll go with that one. So step 11, take part 24.1 supplied with the previous stage and check how it fits over the spring 25.1. Note that 3 of the screw holes in part 24.1 align with the screw sockets in part 22.1. And then part 12, when you have aligned correct, fix parts 24.1 in place using 3 PM by 6mm screws. So I'm going to just put this down for a moment. I need to check the screws that I've got again, because we've got 2 types of screw. We've got 8mm and we've got 6mm screws. So now would be a good time to get my screws ready, because I'm still only need to hold this with one hand. If we've got much more work to do, we may need more hands. So because of the lack of hands, unfortunately I was blessed only with 2 hands. I'm going to just separate these screws so I can clearly see which ones are long and which ones are short. So these are our short screws. So let's check the fit, and this is the part from before. I'm only placing this on. I'm going to do a 3-stage check, and I'm trying to see which way round this goes. That doesn't seem to fit, so that would suggest it's the wrong way round. So let's spin it another bit. That looks like it could be correct because the screw holes line up properly. So let's try this one. So as I suspected, these are not equidistant, so there's only one way the plate will fit on, and that's that way. So now that we know the correct way to fit it, let's pop the spring in, and then we can see the spring looks the same from either side, and that fits quite nicely in the middle there. There we go. So then we'll pop this back on again, and that's gonna be hard work. That will be hard work. So So going back to step 12, going on to step 12, I can see there's a hole channel in there as well. That's obviously where the spring's going to fit there. So you can see that that goes in. So let's check the fit again by pushing down on these, and that is really nice. So let's have a look at these. They're a little, this one's a tiny bit loose, and this one's a little bit loose. These, that's quite tight. There's a tiny bit of movement, but not too much. So I don't know, what would you guys do? I'm actually going to go for it. So let's pop one screw in, just enough to bite. We need to get the screws in as quickly as possible, because once we've got the screws in, we can let go, because it is quite hard work holding this. So like I say, if I let go now, all the pressure goes on to one screw. Now that I've got this one in, the pressure goes on to two screws. Once I get this third one in, the pressure on those screws is reduced. So now I can gently let go, and then I'll just finish screwing those up. Oh, this is nice actually. Actually got the wrong screwdriver head in, so once I've got these in, I'll just change to a slightly bigger screwdriver head, and then I can get them in really tight. And I think that will actually tighten things up a little bit. Those loose parts will become a lot tighter. There we go. So there's there's a tiny bit of movement. I'm actually okay with that. So rather than take the risk of damaging the parts with the glue, so theoretically, because I've got that spring in there, this bit can now turn. We know there's teeth in there, so it's not going to move. You've got to push it down like so. But it seems to go better one way than the other. It doesn't seem to want to go clockwise, but it will certainly go anti-clockwise as many times as you want. There you go. So that's that done. So let's pop it in the position that it should be in originally, which is this position. So that's that part done. So let's have a look at step 13. Cut the shaped part from the plastic frame 25/3. Apply a very small amount of super glue to the two raised pegs on the back of part. And then step 14. Fix the part into the recessed area on part 24/1. So let's have a look at this part. This is the part that it's talking about. So just have a little look at the shape of it, see where you've got to cut. If you want to make it easier for you, cut a piece off that's way too big, and then that gives me a chance to have a little better look. There we go, that's come off just like that. So let's look for this recessed area. I think it's there. It looks like it's going to go in like that, and that certainly wants to fit there okay, and that looks quite nice and quite natural. So we'll have a little look ahead. Right, so what we're going to actually need is let's have a look at step 15. Take part 23/2 supplied with stage 23 and identify the two raised screw sockets on the end. Check how these fit into the two recessed screw sockets in the center of part 24/1. So this is the part in question, and the reason I've gone to step 15 before we finish step 14 If I glue that in and that's in the wrong place, we're going to have a bit of a problem. But if I now do step 15, I can see that that actually, I'm happy with that. I can't see any reference shots where we see that in place. They're not really that clear, possibly with the exception of the stage complete, but that looks fine to me. So let's go back to step 14 and I'll get my brush super glue out again, and all I want to do is just apply glue to those pegs. Not too much on the outside. If you want to put extra glue on, put it on the inside of the peg, but this just wants a light brush. So like so, and gotta be careful not to touch the pegs. See, that has got an R on it. Is that because it's the right shoulder as opposed to the wrong shoulder? Right, so we'll see how that gets on. Give it about 10 seconds. That's not wanting to stick. So what I might consider doing, if that doesn't stick, yeah, okay, so what I'll do then is I will get some other super glue. Oh no, that's starting to, that's not really going very well. So I'm going to get my super glue gel and my cocktail stick, which is gone. So there they are. No, I've just found it. Right, so bit of super glue gel. It does say to apply glue to the pegs, but it doesn't seem to want to go. So I'm going to get a tiny amount, and I mean really small, and I'm just going to help it along just by putting a tiny amount. You want such a little amount that it's going to be impossible for it to ooze out of the sides when you press it down. Oh, or if you do that. So just for a bit of measure as well, I'm going to put a little bit on the pegs. Super glue gel is a bit thicker, so it might just help fill the gaps a little bit. So there's the two holes, and it wants to go in like that. Pressing quite hard, counting to 10, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and that's stuck down. That's brilliant. Look at that. Now you can't appreciate that because you can't see how heavy this is, but that's holding that absolutely fine. So then we want the last stage then, which is this. Now you'll see that there's two obvious, like two recessed holes with they look like a washer, and then you've got one small hole there. It looks a bit like a face. In fact, that does look like a face, doesn't it, with that circle? And then you've got here the two eyes and the mouth, and that's going to go in just like that, and that takes us to step 16. With the shoulder part 23-2 positioned on the shoulder joint assembly, use two PM 3x8mm screws to fix in place. So obviously before we've got the first one in, this shoulder joint is going to fall all over the place. So that's nice and tight, and as I forgot to tell you earlier, that is metal. All of the visible parts, apart from the accessories sticking out the side, are metal. That's metal, that's metal. No, I tell a lie, that's plastic. Do you know what? That's how good it is. That's plastic. Right, so the last thing we need to do is step 17. Cut the pipe from the frame 25-3. Cut the pipe from the frame, and it says cut the pipe twice. Cut the pipe from the frame, and after test fitting, apply a tiny amount of super glue to the notched end as shown. And step 18, fix the pipe in place and with the glued end in the hole in the side of part 21-1. So let's cut the easy end off first, which is this end, and then we've got to keep an eye on this, like so. So interestingly enough, I did spot this hole earlier on and I didn't know what was going to happen with it. So this is the hole that it's referring to. So it's on this end, and I don't know if you can see in there, there's a little notch. You see that little bit sticking out? That's going to line up with this one, which has a notch. It doesn't have a hole, it has a notch. Now that means that there's only one way we can put this in, and that's that way. Now there is actually quite a lot of play in there, so I'm suggesting that that's going to go straight down the middle like that. So that's my test fit complete. Now I don't think I'm going to get super glue gel in there, so I think I'm going to have to use my brush, and because this is quite thin it could run, so I'm just going to get my brush in there, and I've used a little tiny bit more glue than I would like, but not enough that it's going to ooze out all over the place. So oh, I nearly put the wrong side in, look. How much of a disaster would that have been? Right, so got that central. So I'll come back to that in a few minutes, and I'll see if that's stuck down. You know, it has already. Yeah, that's not moving. That is not moving. Right, so that's that bit done. So that leaves us with one more piece, but let's bring the image up there of stage complete. The shoulder joint has been assembled. Part 21-1 is now fixed so that it cannot come out of alignment. Part 25-2, which is this piece, will be used in the next stage. So I believe that should be, it's very hard actually to get the correct angle, but that's roughly what this should look like compared to that, which is the final the stage complete. So that's it for this week. Thank you very much for watching. It did go on a little bit longer than I hoped, but you know, I want to get things done properly. So next week we will be working on connect the right arm with the elbow joint, so that should be fun. So I'll see you in the next video.